Hello and welcome to Bryan Lacey's Fun Day League Football. Each edition I'll be having a look at the events of the previous month and also looking forward to what's coming up next on the football fixtures list. But as we're in January and as it's a new year, let's take a quick look back at 2010. Well, as an England fan, 2010 is a year that I would like to forget, but if you are, say, a fan of Scotland, Ireland, Wales, Germany, Argentina, Italy, Spain, Portugal, or any other country we seem to have wrangled a football rivalry with over the years, then I'm sure it's a year you really enjoyed. Because you didn't just get to see us lose miserably in one World Cup attempt, no, you got to see us lose miserably in two. And now the first one, the African World Cup, I think I'm going to let go because enough's been said, time has passed and we've all forgotten the holiday England took out in Africa. But the one that still tastes bitter in my mouth is the loss of the bid for the 2018 World Cup to Russia. Now I don't mind that we lost, but I cannot believe we lost to Russia. Not only did they come out worse in FIFA's technical and safety specs, but reputedly Russia is the worst mafia state, got the most football violence, the worst problems with racism and the worst infrastructure of any country that bid for the 2018 World Cup. That just makes me think that FIFA, after giving Russia the 2018 World Cup, are about as straight as Mick McCarthy's nose. I would have loved to have been in that meeting when Sepp Blatter talked to the Russian officials just to see how that went. It must have gone something like this. So you have no stadiums? No. So you have not enough trains, planes, infrastructure for the supporters? No. So you don't have enough police, hospitals, ambulances for the supporters? No. Can I just ask what you do have? Your children. Well, here we are in 2011 and I wonder what resolutions footballers might have made to start the new year. I mean, might they have resolved to swap their Lamborghinis for a Toyota Prius? Might they have resolved to stop being twits on Twitter? Although judging by Ryan Barbel's recent efforts, I don't think that's the case. If you didn't see, Ryan Barbel, after Liverpool lost to Man United in the FA Cup, posted a picture of Howard Webb in a Man United kit on his Twitter page. Now Ryan, I appreciate the comedy within that, but let's be honest, if you showed as much skill on the pitch as you did on Photoshop, then maybe Liverpool wouldn't be in this situation. However, I do admire a man who likes to use his time wisely, especially since he spends so much of it on a bench. Now the resolution I think all football fans would like to see, and I think I can speak for everyone here, is when Wayne Rooney does an interview, a post-match interview, we'd all like to see him stop rubbing his ear. I don't know what's in his ear. I don't know whether it's a set of pre-recorded responses that he presses every time he's asked a question, or if it's just a button that alerts his lawyers that he's about to open his mouth. But each interview gets more and more irritating. So Wayne, talk us through the events of Saturday. Basically, right, it was a good team effort and Rio did really well going around the back and Van der Sar was a really safe pair of hands for any balls that came near him, and I know it was messy in the box, but I was just glad to finish fast. Wayne, we were talking about the incident with the alleged incident with a prostitute. So was I. The FA Cup. Now already this year we've been treated to a great weekend of FA Cup football, showing us that the Cup itself has lost none of its magic or mystique, still handing us beautiful giant killing stories like the tiny tiny weeny tiny, tiny weeny weeny tiny, tiny weeny tiny Crawley, destroying, well, the medium-sized Derby. Or my favourite giant killing story of this FA Cup, Stevenage defeating Newcastle. Now this made me happy for a couple of reasons. Now first of all, for those who don't know or can't remember, Stevenage did draw Newcastle years ago in the FA Cup, held them to a draw in the first leg, and in the second leg they lost out to an Alan Shearer goal, which TV footage showed should never have stood. So this for Stevenage wasn't a single match. This was the third tie of that cup run for them, and they took their chance of revenge beautifully. They grasped it with both hands, and they enjoyed the moment. They destroyed Newcastle. Now, another moment that was grasped beautifully happened just after Stevenage had beaten Newcastle. While Stevenage fans were in the euphoria of defeating the giants that are Newcastle, and the pitch invasion ensued, one Stevenage fan decided to take that chance, that opportunity, to exact an act of chivalry, of revenge, and he decided to knock out Scott Laird of his own team, Stevenage. Now this was great for a couple of reasons. First of all, the punch, the angle the guy came in to get a punch that well off, a punch that knocked a footballer down, and we all know how hard it is to knock a footballer down, was pretty amazing. But what he did next is the thing that blew it away for me, because straight after he had hit Scott Laird in the face, knocking him out, one of his own team that had just destroyed Newcastle, you'd think he'd leg it, he'd run, he'd be heading for the exits, trying to get home without the police catching him. But instead, 5 feet away from Scott, who's still Sparko on the floor, this fan is just partying away as if nothing's happened. That is an amazing way to take the shine off the moment for any man. That is almost like if I was getting married and I was having my first dance with my beautiful wife, and an ex-girlfriend came up to me, tapped me on the shoulder and handed me a certificate for the STD result she forgot to tell me about. While then, leaving me in that state of shock, she would just go off into the corner and start a conga. What a beautiful way to ruin a day. Well, thanks for joining me for this first edition of Bryan Lacey's Fun Day League Football. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to check me out on Twitter, the link's below. On Facebook, the link's below. If you've got any suggestions for Fun Day League Football, then send them in to me here at Football Friends. Until then, I'll see you at half time for a pie and a pint.